Launch its first public hearing tomorrow, less than 24 hours from now. The committee's first witnesses will be the law enforcement officials who protected the Capitol on January 6th, and in doing so suffered beatings, tasings, chemical attacks, brain injuries, and more, not to mention untold psychological damage. This weekend, Nancy Pelosi commented on the importance of the committee's work, set to commence tomorrow, dismissing Republican attempts to distort it and distract from it.
Our select committee will seek the truth. It's our patriotic duty to do so, and we do not come into our work worried about what the other side, who has been afraid of this. Maybe the Republicans can't handle the truth, but we have a responsibility to seek it, to find it, and in a way that retains the confidence of the American people.
Kinzinger's appointment adds to the overwhelmingly bipartisan reaction to many flashpoints since January 6th. The vote to impeach Donald Trump for inciting the January 6th insurrection was bipartisan. 10 House Republicans voted with all the Democrats then. The vote to convict Donald Trump for inciting the insurrection included 7 Republican senators who joined all 50 Democratic senators. The vote to create an outside commission to investigate the January 6th insurrection was bipartisan across the board. 35 Republicans voted for it in the House, 6 in the Senate. All those efforts to hold the ex-president accountable came up short, though, because of the partisan obstruction campaigns waged and led by Kevin McCarthy and Mitch McConnell. They now sit on the deck of the Titanic, though, as the industrial complex erected to shield the public from an unfiltered view of the firsthand witnesses begins to unravel this week. Take the statement from Kinzinger accepting his appointment to the committee. He said this, quote, "Self-governance requires accountability and responsibility. My faith requires the same of me. Truth is necessary for order, and that is what I will do. Let me be clear, I'm a Republican, dedicated to conservative values, but I swore an oath to uphold and defend the Constitution. And while this is not the position I expected to be in or sought out, when duty calls, I will always answer." So starting tomorrow, the public will see with their own eyes the testimony of firsthand witnesses to the deadly attack inspired by the ex-president's lie, a lie about election fraud. From the Washington Post preview of tomorrow, quote, "On Tuesday, 4 police officers, 2 from the Capitol's protection squad and 2 from D.C. police, are set to provide the first public testimony before the Select Committee. They're expected to testify about their experiences of both physical and verbal abuse on January 6th as they tried to protect the Capitol from a swelling horde of demonstrators determined to stop Congress's efforts to certify the 2020 Electoral College results and declare Joe Biden the next president. And while Republicans will now certainly spend more time trying to figure out just how to punish Cheney and Kinzinger than they will the insurrectionists or the president who inspired the insurrectionists, Punchbowl points out the truth of that. Kevin McCarthy, who once weeded out from a bowl of Starburst the flavors Trump didn't like, according to reports, appears to be losing badly to Nancy Pelosi. Punchbowl writes this, quote, "To be candid, McCarthy has been outmaneuvered by Pelosi on this issue since the speaker first floated the idea in mid-February of a bipartisan commission to investigate the January 6th insurrection. Pelosi has a big advantage. Senate Republicans blocked a bipartisan commission after the House passed it. The House then passed a resolution creating a select committee. This allows Pelosi to do what she wants pretty much. And like the Trump impeachment proceedings, Pelosi is running things. She handpicked the chair and members. Her office announced the first hearing. Her office announced the panel staff. This will unfold as she sees fit. The beginning of the first bipartisan hearings of the Select Committee investigating the January 6th insurrection is where we start this hour with some of our most favorite reporters and friends. Jackie Alamany is back. She's up on Capitol Hill for us. She's the author of the Washington Post Power Up newsletter. Also joining us, former Senator Claire McCaskill, and an MSNBC political analyst joins us. And Charlie Sykes is here, editor-at-large at The Bulwark, as well as an MSNBC contributor. Claire, thank you again for helming these hours last week while I was away with my son. Let me start with you and on how Speaker Pelosi has positioned Liz Cheney, who will basically assume the role of the ranking member. Smart move?
Very smart move. And she's up for this job. She will be very good at this job. She knows how to handle herself in front of the press. She knows how to keep this very calmly based on the facts and not allow the Democrats to go off on some kind of anti-Trump thing. This will really be about what happened that day and why it happened that day. And Trump will definitely figure into that. But Liz Cheney is going to be terrific at this job. And you know who knows it? Kevin McCarthy. So when he said today, call them Pelosi Democrats, I mean, he just looks silly. He looks like a little kid who hasn't gotten his way and doesn't know how to deal with it. I really do think that even if she adds more Republicans, they're in a strong position now to justifiably say this has, in fact, been a bipartisan effort.
I want to show you, Jackie, some of the sound that Claire's talking about today, the feeble effort on Kevin McCarthy's part to smear the Republicans serving on the committee and their reaction to it.
Some Republicans have been saying that the GOP should play ball on this committee. You could get the three.
Who was that? Adam and Liz?
Well,
aren't they kind of like Pelosi Republicans?
Pelosi Republican?
Well, look, we're about this very serious business here. We have important work to do, and I think that's pretty childish.
Look, it's childish. We're doing big things right now. We're getting to the answers of the worst attack on the Capitol since the War of 1812. You can call me whatever names you want. And I just believe that, look, bottom line, I'm an elected member of Congress. I'm a Republican.
Jackie, the threats are pretty hollow, too. I think your reporting has pointed out that there's not much that Kevin McCarthy can do other than maybe say things. And you can tell that Kevin McCarthy spends all of his time on Fox News because his comments there in the Rose Garden sounded ludicrous.
Yeah, Nicole, and as Adam Kinzinger just told us right there, he shrugged off those threats and said it says far more about the status of the Republican Party right now than it does about him and Liz Cheney. But that's exactly why these sorts of attacks we're seeing from Republicans that really amplified over a weekend. That's why we're going to be hearing from these 4 police officers mostly to kick off this hearing tomorrow. We just spoke with Adam Kinzinger and had a background briefing with Adam Schiff, who isn't the chairman, but has a lot of experience with dealing with these kinds of high-profile investigations. And he said that his main goal is to make sure that these police officers communicate the physical and emotional trauma that they've been through, try to set the stage for a public that has been fed a lot of disinformation and lies about what happened on January 6th, a reality check about what they're struggling with in the aftermath of defending lawmakers and reporters and everyday citizens and really protecting democracy. So we're going to see a lot of video footage, audio footage, hear this firsthand testimony. Adam Schiff told us we're even going to see new video that has not previously been seen by the public, although he adds that he doesn't believe the American public is even well aware of how the events went down on January 6th. So this is sort of an introductory hearing for the public.
Charlie, as I'm listening to Jackie's reporting, and I've been reading it to catch up myself, these were not victimless crimes. The crime of lying about the insurrection left the law enforcement officials who the political affiliation was not known to anyone, still really isn't. But the trauma that was done to them happened on live TV. We all saw it with our own eyes. Right. And for Republicans to have denied their heroics, to have denied the brutality, to have denied the gruesome nature of their beatings at the hands of Donald Trump supporters is almost a crime on top of a crime. I want to read something that one of the officers said about the pain physically and psychologically that he's been through. This is from someone who's been on this show, Officer Gannell. Quote, "I can be fine now and see or hear something, and next thing I get tears and I get emotional," said Gannell, who was hurt when rioters tried to yank away his ballistic shield, threw a speaker at him, struck him in the face with a pole, and sprayed him with chemical irritants. Quote, "I tried to be strong," he said of the months following the riot. "I tried not to show my emotion." But once he said he retreated to a quiet space at his home in Virginia, away from his wife and 9-year-old son, quote, "I completely broke down." The horror and the disgrace of the Republican Party, led by Kevin McCarthy's treatment of these officers, will also be on display.
It will. And I expect that the testimony will be very, very compelling, will be very, very dramatic, and will, in fact, make it very difficult for the public not to recognize the assault on law enforcement. But you also have to just, recognize the incredible political karma of the way this is playing out. And Claire McCaskill is absolutely right when she talks about